And it's like
Yeah.
people just kind of roll with it, and it's like you can kind of just go with anything nowadays, and there's a group of people that'll probably believe it.
That's why when I saw this like Neo battery, I'm like, this sounds incredible. Why is no one talking about it? And I'm like, I guess it's just not because no one's talking about it. But it's like this is a year old. Like this has been out for a year and none of us care. Like what? Like it supposedly does exist. So I'm like, all right, I don't know. That needs to be one of your stories.
All right, that will be.
We'll
And
have to we'll have
I
to research it in deep, for
Yes.
sure.
There's like two sentences out there in American media. So
interesting. Well, I'll
there's a lot to work with.
maybe I could double that. Um,
Yeah.
but I think another interesting thing is with LFP versus regular battery, or sorry, like NMC or NCA batteries, is the voltage curves, and I think that's really interesting. And a lot of people just like kind of explaining this to is like in an LFP battery, it's like you actually need to charge to 100%, like
Yeah.
every now and then, just for the battery to understand, like, okay, we're at 100%. Now the BMS can be fully like adjusted to understanding that it's at 100 versus because the voltage curve's relatively flat. They're like 20 to 80% in the cells. And that's really interesting. So could you kind of
Yeah, and
like break that down a little bit?
they don't tend oh, sure, they don't tend to, um, pair like, they tend to have longer cycle lives, and it's, like, hard to say that definitively because, like, you can pick any one variable and change it, and then suddenly that's not true anymore, but, like, on average, if you look at today's batteries, like, an LFP will have more cycle life, and as a result, you can charge it to 100% and not care because it's like, "Okay, if it takes 300,000 miles till I see meaningful, like, huge amounts of degradation, then, like, who cares?" Um, yeah, people talk a lot about reliability, but it's like reliability only matters for, like, a certain duration. After that, it's just, like, wasted money. So, uh but yeah, as far as the voltage curves, like, it's very common practice with most of the, our introduction to electric car batteries, whether that was NCA or NMC or different chemistries out there, most of them have this like well-defined curve that increases. And so if at any point let's say your battery's at 70%, well, there's a direct correlation with voltage, and you can see, okay, my voltage is 3.7 or 3.5 or whatever it is, and I can at the cellular level. And because I know that, I know my entire battery pack is at about 70%. And so it's like a very clear demonstration. But like you're saying with NMC, if it's 20 to 80%, if it's just saying 3.2 volts or whatever the number is uh, at the cell level, then it's like, okay, I have no idea. And so they do completely different math. You're like, basically monitoring the current and seeing, okay, if we're applying this much current for this duration, we've used approximately this much energy, and that means our battery has about this much left. But as you keep doing that a bunch of times, suddenly it's like you're guessing a little bit every time. Like you're guessing a little bit. And so that little bit adds up to a lot, and then you can have everything fall out of balance, and then you have a big problem. So eventually you want to get it to where that voltage goes back up to its peak. You know what that peak number is that you want to charge all these cells to. You get there, you're at 100% confidently.
Interesting. It would be really cool to look at like some of like the Hertz Rentals, because they had a lot of LFP Model 3s in their fleets. And because like maybe these cars maybe never got charged to 100% for whatever reason. Maybe people were driving them, they were sitting on the lot, maybe charged up to like 95%, and then someone got his rental. So it would be really interesting to see like what those discrepancies would look like in real world conditions. So
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there are, it's a good question. Like, are there examples out there of like batteries that have been permanently ruined simply because they sat too long, or, you just charge them back and they're fine? Certainly there are statements like in owner's manuals, like, hey, don't do this. And it's like for your own benefit, just to know what the range